No. I just don't want to have a red item in my build. I'm not about that.
Oh, the fashionista.
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell from the hair.
You're going to have the likes of the Muramana, you know, you're going to have Lucidity Boots. You're going to have lots of, you know, purple items as well. You can grab the Ghost Blade, so got to make sure you keep it in line. You can't just throw red in. That doesn't work.
Well, we'll see if RNG can keep UP in line or whether it will be a quick 2-0 as we transition to
let's
competitive
talk about
video
actual
game.
things. Yes, the competitive video game. Please, Pop Smithy. As Rek'Sai is going to be banned away. UP not wanting to see that out of MLXG, not wanting to first pick that one out as well.
Orianna,
Orianna was banned away last game as well. So aim towards Zhao, not going to want to see him on that champion.
Look, he's very good at these assertive wave clear champions. His Lulu and I guess his Orianna thus are being respected. Lung has the Gnar band against him. Where does the Hecarim fall? Do they look to give it up as a first pick with 2 priority picks in mind to RNG after just getting unsettled by the Hecarim? With the Gnar band, though, the reliable options against it start to move away. Maokai is the one that hasn't come through in the first 4 picks. I wouldn't mind seeing a blue side Maokai ban and try and bait out this last ban Hecarim.
Yeah, we'll see what actually does come through. Of course, it does look very similar to what we had last time around. We actually assumed that things may change up just a little bit, but UP thinking about whether or not to ban Hecarim, and they decide, yes, they in fact are going to. And RNG now have the difficult decision of, do we leave up the Azir?
Azir or Maokai, both of them very difficult. I think you have to ban the Maokai. Maokai is so reliable, does so many things so well. Lane swap, 2v2, 1v1. Very, very strong champion, early power spike. But giving away Azir to, again, and suddenly, this is what we're reflecting, right? The change in personnel has given RNG a very difficult decision.
Yeah, and it is going to be Kalista banned away instead.
Okay.
So UP now have to decide what they want to take. Is it going to be the Maokai? Is it going to be the Azir? Is it going to be Gragas as well, which is a huge point of power here for the likes of MLXG. RNG seem to have set themselves up for a fantastic first round of picks for themselves because they get double what UP are going to be able to gather. And now it means Maokai Azir is a possibility if they want to grab it.
Yeah, we've mentioned a lot of power potential coming through with these 2 picks. It's why I love drafting on this particular patch. Although the games, unfortunately, are following a similar low-kill phase, the drafting gets really exciting because there's so many strong picks. Even in the 3rd and 4th rotation, you're really happy with whatever you're able to snap up.
Yeah, we'll see what RNG are going to go for. It's like they're sort of counting their money at the moment. What incredible thing can we pick up this time? And
Maokai's one of them.
Yeah, Maokai does look to be one of them here, as Letme is considering that. And, oh, Alistair as well. Massive high-tier pick. It does mean that Maokai is going to go over, but it is going to be as we predicted. The Maokai and Azir are going to be locked away for RNG by the end of this timer.
I think you have to go for the Maokai. One of the big considerations is that the best champions against Azir, those assassins, and Maokai, so good at really ruining Assassin's Day. LeBlanc, for example, always a consideration against the Azir. The Twisted Advance is so strong. Whenever you see the distortion come through, you have that Twisted Advance available to punish the LeBlanc player. So given that Assassins really kind of out of the books just because Maokai's been locked in, will it be the return of some Lulu to the mid lane, but crucially not from Xiaohu?
No, not going to be from Xiaohu. Xiaohu, of course, going to have a lot of experience playing against it as well, but he's going to take the Azir into the Lulu by the looks of things. Long could also pick that one up in the top lane as well, UP leaving themselves open to maneuvering around that support champion. But it looks like Hart has decided to pick up the cow for the bottom lane, and now RNG to decide what they want to take into the jungle in their bottom lane.
Yeah, everything's available. Siva's still available, but another high priority pick. Siva might be considered, but perhaps they just want to see what AD carry. It's actually been quite increasingly happening on the red side. We've seen a lot of red side last pick champions. They don't want to show Siva and invite, for example, a Jinx pick, because you look down UP's lineup, they're looking like a protect the comp, or for example, protect the Jinx, build up the Jinx comp. So you want to have them kind of tilt their hand. And it might even be something like a Kog'Maw. We have not seen a lot of AD Kog'Maw, and I guess at this point we don't 100% know that this will be an AD carry Kog'Maw.
No, we don't actually know whether it's going to be a mid lane Lulu either.
Good point.
But it is looking like Hart wants to pick up the Jarvan here for Amy or for Long. I don't know where anything's going at the moment. We've got a jungler, we've got a support, and we've got a mid laner. Let's say that. So it is going to be the top lane Jarvan once more here for UP. Long's played it once more, I believe. Full AD as well, and Sketch heading back over to the hyper carry.
I like it. We're seeing a return to the LSPL style that we've been waiting for. We've seen so much Sivir and Urgot from UP. Sketch not been able to play those champions. He was very well known. This Korean player, Korean hyper carry player, finally gets onto a Jinx comp that's very well put together. Woosh is thinking about Vayne. You know he always is.
In fact, played it 5 out of 5 games, I believe.
Hyper carry is the choice here. They already have Azir, Sejuani, Janna. They could choose any hyper carry for damage threat. They could go very, very safe, and maybe that's the right call given how much they struggled in the previous series. I was expecting the Vayne. I think the Vayne would have actually been fine, but they're going to actually commit to the Lucian. A little bit more safety, a stronger lane, and perhaps that's the consideration. Suddenly they have a Maokai versus Jarvan. Should be fine for the Maokai. Azir versus Lulu should be pretty even. Now the Lucian's going to have lane control early against the Jinx. If they let the Sejuani get big enough, Sejuani's in the late game have consistently been winning with all that scaling, and this Cinderhawk jungle should have a lot of safe lanes and be allowed to power farm.
Yeah, now the difference is that RNG don't have to deal with the Hecarim. They don't have to deal with Woosh and getting destroyed, but what they do have to deal with is the fact that MLXG isn't on a high-pressure early-game jungler.
That's what they've managed to get with these picks and bans, absolutely, but because of the strength of the lanes that RNG have selected, it should be an uninterrupted jungle farm fest.
Could be.
And if you opt into a late game against Sejuani, you lose more often than not.
Yeah, it's true, and we'll see how this top lane works out. This is one that I'm excited about because Long probably going to have some control there on the Jarvan, dealing out a bit more damage.
And Jarvan and Gragas, what a ganking duo in the top lane. You expect Amy to pay a lot of attention to that lane if we do see 1v1 action. It will, of course, shake out eventually. Maybe we'll see the lane swap just to further hide the Sejuani. But 1v1 matchups, it's definitely a ganker's paradise when you're ganking for a Jarvan.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, you're used to doing the ganking yourself if you are the Jarvan, and they're going to have so many knockups, knockbacks, all that sort of stuff, especially once Gragas hits level 6. The bottom lane going to be a little bit more exciting, of course. Lucian wanting to get up in amongst it, but definitely going to get outscaled by the end of the game. Of course, Jinx, she doesn't have to deal with as much dive as Woosh did in the last game, and we'll see whether that's going to play onto the minds, whether they can let me into the backline on this Maokai, whether he can be what removes this Jinx from the fight.
See, the scaling for me is actually kind of a toss-up. Remember, it's a Jinx with a Jarvan top. If it's going to be full damage Jarvan, even tank Jarvan, kind of does fall out of relevancy in the late game. They're going to have Sejuani as well. Scaling's going to be a question we'll have to return to a lot.
It was a question in the last game as well. It was very, very close. But ladies and gentlemen, let's waste no more time. Let's hop onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, UP taking on RNG for our 4th match of the night. And after that massive marathon, they're feeling like they've probably played 3 games in a row already. Both of these teams looking to try and get off on the right foot, at least to start off.
Of danger on the minimap.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of pings. But UP getting very, very deep into the base, looking to try and get some form of lane swap. And they have really decorated this red side jungle.
Yep. All the trinkets out, barring Janna's. Janna's the only one to support. I tell a lie, Jinx also holding onto a trinket. One sweeper available. Hart crucially doesn't find a ward. He used to do this when he played on Samsung Blue. Take a sweeper if they had an idea of a pre-planned ward spot, and awkwardly steps onto a ward.
Yeah, didn't sweep it though. They are possibly of... I think they were actually outside of the brush when it died, so not going to see that they did have the vision there. The ping... out onto the ward just to let them know that it hasn't been walked over.
After all the craziness, standard lanes look likely to break out.
Yeah, it's odd because who do you reckon was going for the lane swap here? Were you trying to move Jinx out of a difficult lane? Were you going to try and get to the point where you can have your top laners in a 1v1? Hart going to take some damage here, but he's a cow. He's got Triumphant Roar. He's going to be okay.
I'd say RNG wanted the lane swap more just to get Maokai into 1v2. You take Maokai over Jarvan in that situation. Also to hide the Sejuani, because of course junglers in a jungle follow situation, much less likely to get invaded by that pesky Gragas if you have a jungle follow being engineered. So I believe it was really RNG that were priced into the lane swap. But in general, they're pretty even lanes. So I think both teams quite happy with how this worked out.
Yeah, Amy going to move around, actually jungling horizontally here, which is dangerous. MLXG is going to be able to take away this red buff. You can see that now as Gragas is going to start up the Raptor camp. We'll see whether they're going to understand that they need to move towards that red buff.
I think they're starting to think it right now, a UP. MLXG is the 3 buff master this week, and I think he's engineered another one.
I'm not sure how, because surely they understand that, I guess there wasn't a lane swap. So...
Remember, UP had all their vision on the red side jungle of RNG, then completely moved away from us. They didn't have their trinkets down in these areas, and it's just been outfoxed.
Yeah. Almost unintentionally now as well, because it looks like MLXG not actually heading towards his own red buff now. Is Amy at the level 3, MLXG about to hit that mark.
He hasn't been spotted out. It looked like the 3 buff, but crucially, MLXG is on a champion like Sejuani who doesn't really want to find Gragas in the jungle, and further to that, there's much more roaming options coming out of a whimsied up Lulu in the mid lane compared to a Zia. So I guess there was definitely the threat of a 3 buff, but the result is an even jungling path, and it's definitely not the same result as when MLXG 3 buffed Shueishui 2 games in a row. Amy, a much more experienced jungler, isn't going to have that happen to him.
No, and I would have thought that if, you know, MLXG had have just headed straight to that red buff, but maybe just assumed that Amy was going to go for his. Decided to take that one away instead. He's going to be able to clear away his little Cinderlings and then head towards the Raptors.
We expected to see plenty of Amy up top, and not surprising to see that happen, but the wave just not in the right position for Gragas to get anything out of the gank.
Yeah, and let me actually backing away quite intelligently as well. No vision was available for the tree. Told to back away just a little bit there as Woosh and Lei continuing to be aggressive. MLXG now wanting to try and get something done in the mid lane as Jiayang moving towards the correct side. Oh, Xiaohu not quite landing it as MLXG not looking to try and flash onto anything interesting.
But the cost of most of Xiaohu's mana bar is not ideal, but they get a lot of chip damage onto Lulu. They're going to at least blow the potions, and any jungle pressure you get from a Sejuani is a bit of a bonus pre-6.
Oh, yeah. And Long going to continue pushing this wave up.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, Amy looking to try and get in it and see whether they can get enough. As not actually going to be able to get much with his Twisted Advance. It's a nice arcane smash, but the flash had to be used.
Yep, so they got the flash, very successful gank from Amy. We're expecting plenty of appearances in the top lane from Gragas, just with all the burst damage. Specifically, once Jarvan picks up 6, we're talking about instant, huge burst damage. Not going to really be able to itemize easily into armor early here is Let Me. You can consider it because it's only a Lulu mid in terms of true AP damage, but the base values of both the Gragas and the Lulu will be respectable in early fights.
Oh, Sketch taking a lot of damage from Woosh. Nice Eye of the Storm from Lei as well. We have commended this bottom lane on having fantastic synergy before. And working out so far, MLXG now knows exactly where Amy was, so heading into their jungle just to make sure that he can get the guaranteed farm. And MLXG actually weathering the storm of this sort of later peaking jungler quite effectively here in this game.
But given the matchup, no realistic option for MLXG to punish all the aggression in top lane with a dragon. Usually the call would be, okay, looking for a couple of gank rotations at the top, Dragon's the time. Woosh takes a nice burst damage.
Yeah, as the headbutt pulverizes, Woosh trying to turn that one around. The zap comes down. Nice exhaust from both of these junglers, but Amy gets there. Oh, the heal to come in at exactly the right time. It was already used from Woosh, but 4 members in the bottom lane, and they don't manage to turn that one around.
Excellent use of summons at the last possible second from Sketch. Crucially, Woosh wins out the summoner duel, though, as his flash is still available.
Yeah, Sketch still blinking low as well as Woosh and Lei able to clear out this farm. No dragons to be had either, so RNG, you have to think, probably even won that one.
They did win the trade. I think it was, again, very, very close when you're considering it. I think Lung's going to go full damage. The longsword obviously is the first indication of that, but it's one of those situations where Trundle beats Maokai because of the split push. Split push Jarvan doesn't quite have the same sustain options unless you get a very fast Hydra, and then you still don't have the Trundle passive to quite get the ability to disregard damage, but damned if you aren't a very strong teleport gank.
Oh, there's the flash into the pulverize there as well. Heart completely out of mana though, but Amy isn't. Lei is most definitely going to go down, gets slowed up, and Sketch is going to switch to the rockets to lock down the kill, and that's first blood on the Jinx. That's exactly what UP want.
And that LPL team knows all about snowballing Sketch, and it works a treat in the LPL as well. Lung can't be too cute. There's a lot of minions he's tanking.
Yeah, and this is Let Me with double Doran's Ring and that Glacial Shroud as well. Pretty idyllic items at the moment for Maokai. But, you know, Pickaxe, double Longsword, pretty good as far as the damage is concerned for Long as well, as MLXG not sure what that Arctic Assault was.
It wasn't good.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was a unique use of his Q ability.
You know that when we say interesting, it almost always means bad.
Yeah, so does unique. Yeah. Strange.
Unique item build.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah, precisely. Lei is going to get some vision over the backside of the dragon. As Wish is going to return to lane here as well. And the blue buff is going to be donated over to Xiaoyang. Amy just standing there, tanking it up with his fatness. His heart is actually rotating around. They might be able to get a 3-man gank up here or something like that.
Yeah, they've communicated that Flash is still down, but Letme showing his veteran top lane sense. Of course, played top lane for all the first season of the LPL for Garm. He had previously played in the LSPL. Good top laner sense. Is playing Maokai, an already inherently tanky champion who's very safe in the early game, has those wards on a very short cooldown, and finally, now that MLXG has more levels and just a Ruby Crystal in the inventory, it's safer to punish all the top lane aggression with a first dragon.
Yeah, they are going to be able to lock that one down. 9 minutes and 10 seconds. We'll see whether MLXG, now that he has the level 6, can be his regular aggressive self, creating some plays around this map. They may be focusing on Skach, who has the BF sword and a long sword in his back pocket. Still not exactly up there on the farm.
This time.
Oh, they're trying to punish Letme, who's cleared out the wave. They do have to dive this one, but there's that Cataclysm. Lots of damage now. Letme surviving for so long, but Wild Growth is going to save Amy, and UP's successful dive in the top lane.
It's a well-played turret dive. They've already been punished with a turret. Now with a dragon. Now turret damage will come through from Xiaohu. We'll see where the Jarvan goes with the build. It's going to be offensive. Does he go straight into a Tiamat? Will it be the Brutalizer for a bit of early armor penetration to match the Glacial Shard? I guess we don't know quite the answer there, but finally.
It is? Oh, no. Tiamat, you're right.
Considering his options, I think you need the Hydra as triple longsword comes through. I think you need the Hydra to actually have the sustain, because the minions are going to do a lot of damage to Jarvan, as he's not going to be itemizing any armor or health anytime soon. So I like going for the Hydra as fast as possible, just to have a bit of sustain.
Yeah, and of course now has a lot of longswords as well. And if you pick up a Hydra, then you're basically sitting on an extra couple of longswords, so it's like 5. Doing well.
From memory, he goes to Infinity Edge at some point.
Yeah. I think it's Ghostblade with a Hydra and Last Whisper and Infinity Edge.
There's probably a Giant's Belt somewhere.
No.
To pretend to be tanky.
I don't think it's about
Can
that.
you build tank Jarvan? I got a Giant's Belt, guys.
I'm basically a tank. What else do you want from me?
A Glacial Shroud?
No.
Giant's Belt?
No.
Randuin's?
No. It's not about that.
Okay.
Thornmail? Who even gets that item? You can't kill minion waves. You can't kill people.
I don't know. Grump Buff and Thornmail. Do some work.
That's true. MLXG would definitely argue that one. Oh, Skach taking a lot of damage. Oh, Whoosh. Always going to be using that Relentless Pursuit aggressively. Via the Storm. Slightly late. But Piercing Light still doing work now. Level 7 Whoosh.
If ever the tankiness from RNG outscales the burst potential and the threat of burst potential from Lung, I just feel like this UP team comp will kind of fall apart. We're talking about Sejuani, Azir, who has so much space control between disengage and engage options. In fact, you can be double disengaged for just the ultimate buzzkill coming through from the Emperor's Divide and the ultimate. Maokai is going to be strong for team buying. Lucian is going to be empowered to do so much damage. Crucially, didn't pick up that first blood, so it was important to the Jinx comp that Jinx picked up the first blood. But Lucian in particular, if he gets going, gets towards 4 and 5 items, we've already seen how much damage Xiaohu can do on this Azir in the late game. Yeah. It's not as situational comp as they were running previously, just because they have a lockdown CC. So suddenly, setting up an aggressive set of Sand Soldiers is possible when there's 1.5 second CC AoE on the team.
Yeah, it's true. And of course, as we sit here and wait through the pause, these teams now discussing exactly what they're going to do, seeing exactly where they can make their next moves. We saw Whoosh continuing to be aggressive in the bottom side of the map, and Jinx not quite hitting her stride just yet. But we'll see whether he's going to be empowered to do more. And like you were saying, you were talking about, you know, AD carries getting empowered to do what they can. This is going to be a game where the AD carries will be able to do things without getting eliminated first, unless we're going to have a gigantic Lung Jarvan monster situation, which could be a problem.
And I think that's what Amy should be doing in the early game. You might be kind of baited into thinking, okay, this comp's all about the Jinx, gank for the Jinx, but this is full damage Jarvan, the sort of build that can fall out if, for example, you give up a kill, you give up a shutdown, and then Chain Vest answers your next longsword purchase. Yeah. The armor stacking will eventually be very effective. So keep ganking the top lane, keep Gragas and Jarvan have so much burst damage, especially with the Jarvan building full damage, they keep trying to snowball and ensure at the time when Maokai outscales the Jarvan's damage is more towards the 35-minute mark rather than 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see how it does go as we are only 12 minutes into this game as we're going to get another pause.
Why not?
There we are. Of course, we just wanted to discuss exactly how this one's going to work out. If we take stock of the current situation, Jiayang hanging around with about half health. It is going to be Xiaohu putting on a little bit of extra pressure, and I like that. Of course, Xiaohu known for being aggressive in his plays. We'll see whether he can continue this one out because he knows exactly how Lulu works. He's not going to be worried about this matchup at all.
And he's gone the most aggressive route. He's completely disregarding Lulu's base damage values, which are quite respectable, and going for the Merlinomicon first over potentially picking up the Athene's Unholy Grail. So he's already completed that, gets a much faster power spike, cheaper item, higher AP values, and just doesn't respect the threat from the Lulu. And honestly, with it only being Lulu and Gragas for AP damage, Magic Resist not a high priority for the RNG lineup.
No, they're not too worried about that one, but of course, dealing out a fair bit of magic damage themselves with the Maokai and of course the Sejuani and Azir. I mean, that's a fair bit, especially consistent magic damage.
If anything, it's the physical damage on the lower side. So
yeah,
Jinx picking up a first kill, not the best thing, but as long as Lucian can keep those item timings, keep this farm up, he will still be a threat in the late game. People pigeonhole Lucian too much into an early mid-game carry. Okay, he's not Jinx, but still super effective in the late game.
Yeah, and I think it was sort of where he was beforehand.
Sure.
He was sitting a little bit more as an early game type champion, but look, now definitely doing fantastically, especially when you get to, you know, build all of those massive hyper-scaling items with all that critical strike. But we do have a bit of a fight going on here as Woosh is getting taken down very low here on the bottom lane. He's going to flash away Eye of the Storm there as well as the Culling almost taking down Skash, but the Cataclysm going to slam dunk Woosh in the end, and he was robbed there just a little bit. You have to think.
You can't outplay the Cataclysm. That's what we learned from that particular engage,
Go
Atlas.
home.
Go home indeed. Gragas top lane again, crucially when his lane has already left, but still picking up CS is Amy. Let me counter teleporter, but obviously nothing he can get done after the instant burst damage. Lucian falling behind, we've mentioned is a problem, and look, he's only given up the first kill himself, and he is ahead in CS.
Oh, there's the ult coming through from MLXG. Does have the permafrost. Locks down the killers. Yeah, you don't back there.
No, and he definitely stepped aside from the stun. Didn't get charged whatsoever by the Chompers. Well played by MLXG.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. And MLXG picking up kills. You might say, oh, don't give the kills to the jungler, not going to scale. This is a hyperscaling jungler. You're going to have a super mega tanky piggy doing all sorts of crazy things in the late game. And that's only an easier way to get there.
And QG were definitely the team to show this when they basically swapped kills and farm on a Sejuani for farm onto a Vayne. Bigger impact in the late game was the Sejuani. You can do so many crazy things if you get 3-4 tank items on that particular champion. The CC is so well regarded for a good reason. And look at these trades. Xiaohu's gone the offensive route, and whenever he starts trading, it's really hurting Zhao Yang.
Yeah, he's starting to do some work now as well. Look at these Sand Soldiers. Getting some vision down as well. It's not all trading. Eye of the Storm wants to be used by Wush. He wants to get auto attacks on the enemy team so badly. Doesn't quite. As long is going to pick up the Brutalizer, and man, Jarvan's going to start doing some damage.
Yeah, but the tankiness is coming together from Let Me. Looks like he's going from the Glacial Shroud straight into the Righteous Glory, which makes a lot of sense in terms of build path. Health and armor going to interact very well together.
Sustain
and because
as well.
it's burst damage from a Jarvan. He's a lot like LeBlanc in a lot of ways when you're building in full AD. He's got an excellent spell rotation. His next one is further away, so once he gets the Righteous Glory, the kill pressure onto the Maokai himself, it's still there, but it's multiple chip outs, then an all-in, rather than just an all-in threat.
Yeah, maybe it's like a one-way LeBlanc, as Jiayang not going to get divided back into MLXG.
Well, you don't need to go back if you kill the enemy.
That's true. That's true, but he did.
Style on the corpse, you know?
Yeah, true. But a little bit unfortunate for Xiaohu. He's going to waste his cooldown of his ultimate. Nice moves from Jiayang to use that Whimsy to create enough distance to not get caught by the scoop. Sketch now forced under his turret once more. Actually, CS advantage increasing here for Woosh. He's creating a lot of pressure here in this lane, and it seems that no matter what happens, as long as UP have a man advantage, they'll win, but otherwise RNG able to stay ahead in this laning matchup.
It's the neutrals that have been largely untouched. There's only been a single dragon this whole game. LXG setting up around the dragon. No defensive wards around it. Should be a second one for RNG. Most teams quite comfortable giving up the first dragon, giving up the second dragon, ensuring that Jinx has at least Berserker Greaves and Infinity Edge before she's really opting into fights. So it's maybe not going to be a big concern. And honestly, MLXG is not making a beeline for it just yet.
Yeah, Zhaohu actually, nice sense, moves to the other side of the map, knows that Amy probably towards the top side, understands that MLXG will be able to come to his aid a little bit faster from the bottom, and therefore is going to avoid the gank.
Amy spent basically all of his time on this enemy red side jungle. And how much work has he really got done is the question. The Maokai's 20 CS behind and building towards what will be a very cheap build. Need to make this Maokai pay, but it's getting later and later, and that option will become smaller and smaller.
Yeah, Amy, with his Raptor Sense, is going to be able to kill a ward in trade for the Dragon, which was freely picked up by RNG.
And with the flash available, even with Lulu roaming up there, the kill pressure's pretty low on a Maokai. And if you do finally get that kill, you spent so much time. We're talking 30 seconds to probably pick up that kill with those 3 champions. This is super difficult to do. Sketch is found.
Yeah, they're trying to pick Sketch off. There's the Emperor's Divide. Sketch taking a lot of damage. Hart can't headbutt over that. What were you thinking? As the Sand Soldiers do enough work and take down Sketch, there is a lot of damage for Zhaohu just by himself under 3 members. Means that, man, RNG, they were just sitting there patiently and they got that kill handed to them on a silver platter.
And they took Gragas over the Azir. Maybe they're going to be made pay for that, Atlas.
Yeah.
Zhaohu's Azir might have been on the losing side last game, but certainly not his fault. Played excellently, almost flawlessly in that particular game. And he's on the offensive option. They've only chosen a very defensive lane of just wave clearing Lulu against Azir. Free farmed Azir. We don't need to be reminded how much damage that does in the late game.
We most certainly don't, as long. He's completed the Ravenous Hydra, now has the Avarice Blade as well, going towards that Ghost Blade, and he's going to have some huge one-shot potential.
You might wonder why Ghost Blade's so early. It's split pushing options. If Maokai ever leaves lane, you pop that Yoma's Ghost Blade, get the extra attack speed and movement speed, and it's trained down turret. So between that and the Demacian Standard, going to have a very nice amount of attack speed in the split push. Okay, 10 extra armor penetration against his opponent, Maokai. Not that big a factor, but in a team fight, going onto a squishy member like Whoosh could be relevant. But I feel like split pushing is the big reason that you invest an extra 1,500 gold on top of the Brutalizer to finish the Yomas.
Yeah, not to mention that already with that Tiamat, with the active, able to reset your auto attack, able to get a whole lot of extra damage down with that as well. So Long continues to just destroy minion waves. And you can see that's pretty easy now with the AoE.
Exactly. No skill needed.
Nope. Just right click. In fact, attack move. He could be looking at anywhere on the map at this stage.
I mean, he hit his Q, so...
That's how I play Shen, by the way. Just constantly look everywhere else and attack move to your lane.
But Shen literally has no mechanics apart from ultimate.
Exactly it. It's beautiful. RNG, they are going to be able to hand over this blue buff towards Zhaohu. Amy wants to steal that one away. No vision available, though. Oh, barrel there. Almost stole it, but MLXG.
Has to smite it.
Yeah.
Not ideal for Zhaohu. Of course, he's gone for the lower mana regen option between the Athenes and the Merlinomicon. Going for a pure AP build. I believe the same build he went last game. Does give him windows to be punished, so potentially the Gragas ultimate, you don't have the stasis. He actually opts into the zone. It's very late. It was a 4th or 5th item in the previous game. It's the highest damage build, though, and if he trusts his positioning, which was exemplary around dragon fights, especially in the previous game, maybe it's fine.
Yeah, and I thought it was only Jiayang who had windows to be punished. His heart is going to be waiting in the brush there. Joke almost worked, Papa Smithy. Almost. Not quite sure. Sketch, though, he's going to be able to clear out this minion wave rather effectively as Lemmy's forced to flash out of the Cataclysm. No turret there to run away to as Long asserting his dominance. Sketch, though, taking the last couple of shots of that as all the headbutt under the turret for Whoosh. Gets caught by the trumpet, splashes out of the way of the Super Mega Death Rocket, and MLXG unable to get the permafrost. Long makes his way in, though. Whoosh is immediately dead. This Jarvan has so much damage as Lemmy wants to try and tank this one up. RNG, are they going to have Azir in time is the big question. Lemmy's waiting for the twisted advance. Zhaohu makes his way in. Jiayang very, very low, but Sketch, he's getting excited. Lei taking so much damage. Amy flashes on top of him, picks up another kill. That's a double for the Fat Man. They'll be able to take down a turret, and look, Lulu made it there first, but more importantly, that Jarvan.
The Jarvan's massive, but the rotation from Lulu's the big factor. Xiaohu could have done a lot of damage, but had to come through directly through the river and respect the engage of multiple members. Lulu has the whimsy, always going to be faster to rotate. So even though the laning matchup is super sad for the Lulu, at best going to split farm, already lost her turret. Rotational play is what Lulu mid should be all about. Couldn't get much done in the top lane when she kept rotating, and oh, here we go.
Oh, there it is, forcing the flash out using the ultimate there is Xiaohu. Actually gets an ultimate as well there. So Xiaoyang using the flash and the wild growth just to save his own life. And that's only an ultimate from Xiaohu. So it's definitely a worthwhile trade.
But that fight's just a re-encapsulation of what happened right at the end of the previous game. If Xiaohu isn't in a position to do damage, his team will lose. And nothing much has changed in terms of RNG lineup. It's still a 2 damage comp. He was out of position. There's no way for him to rotate and match Lulu, so it's not his fault in that regard. It was just a poor engage. Whoosh went too aggressive once again and was punished.
Yeah, Whoosh is now 50 CS ahead, though. How did that happen, Papa?
Well, that's because he's playing so aggressively. There are windows basically every time teleport is up to punish that, but in the interim 5 minutes, he's just able to trade better with Jinx. He's been ahead in gold, as you can mention. It's not usually common in John lanes, but John is super strong against Alistar when it comes to disengage. After Alistar uses his suite of engage and then basically walks around and heals people. So John is good in this lane, and Whoosh is playing aggressively as he should. Gets punished every 5 minutes, unfortunately, but apart from that, the overall goal ends up very even.
Yeah. Eye of the Storm is there. You've got both junglers now hanging around here. Nice use of the culling. The Scatch's going to tank that one up to the best of his ability. Hart standing in front of him there, making sure he doesn't die. MLXG sneaking into this brush unnoticed.
Has the Glacial Prison available again.
Yeah, Amy as well waiting in this brush. Hasn't been seen. Neither of these junglers have been given up as far as their position is concerned, but there's a few back pings, a few unknown pings going on here as Xiaohu waiting down as well. Long has moved towards the mid lane. The top lane completely out of sorts.
Can't do any fighting in the top lane.
Nah. There's minions fighting in the top lane. They're doing enough battle there. Lay is actually going to be able to clear out some vision, and no one going to walk into anything. Everyone going to be safe. Xiaohu and Let Me are going to deal with this minion wave very effectively, and the dragon just spawned. So RNG looking to try and get a team fight on their terms. All of the ultimates now available once more, apart from the culling, as Hart getting into position to try and do some damage to Whoosh, but not going to get there, of course. Jinx not quite available either.
So Flash is available for both Xiaohu and Lei on the team. So it could be double team fight resets coming through with the Flashes. Long is caught.
Long gets caught. There's the Emperor's Divide. Actually can't get shoved inside that wall.
Glacial Prison's still available.
Yeah, and when you get a pick like that, I mean, Long is able to do some work if he can actually do his buttons, but he couldn't do any buttons. No buttons.
Stunned against the turret. They're going to pull out the dragon to stop any sort of cheeky steal. Still almost does it, but that's 3. Importantly, the 3rd dragon. It actually, the 5th dragon in the previous game was the 3rd overall. It was 2-2 before finally a 3rd dragon was acquired. So it's actually quite significant that RNG, almost winning a game based on a 5th dragon stack, now have 3-0.
Yeah, and they, of course, know how to get the smites down under pressure, does MLXG. He lost 1 in the last game, but it wasn't the 5th, which was also a 50-50. I believe it was actually the 4th one that was a 50-50, making sure that they get there, get things done. It was a super mega close rocket, though.
A super mega close rocket.
Yeah. Almost managed to steal away that dragon.
You amuse me, Atlas.
It sounds like something I would have used, irrespective of the name of the ability, which is the sad part. 3-1-2 now for Long, though. So this guy, massive kill participation, really getting things done for his team, but if RNG managed to get him in the crossfire, yeah.
You see the downside. Absolutely, if Jarvan comes out of nowhere from a pink brushed bush, he has amazing instant kill potential because, of course, EQ even shreds armor itself. 20 armor penetration on top of that with the Youmu's. Going to be a last whisper soon as far as we can tell. Let's see how the damage trades go against the full tank. You can tell from his hesitancy. He doesn't have any confidence, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Amy is going to get discovered by the sapling. Actually, Hart going to find MLXG. Arctic Assault's over the wall. Oh, Long's going to Cataclysm him, though. He has to use the flash, but doesn't have it yet. There's the ult onto 3 members, though, as Let Me. He's going to tank the rocket. Xiaohu, he's in a corridor. Might be a place to fight, but he gets headbutted back into the team. Long, he's going to take some damage. Wild Growth, though, and that's going to destroy Xiaohu in his tracks. All of that CC, and It almost looked like RNG could find something, but the damage control wasn't quite enough.
With 5 members to 4, crucially, Whoosh has knocked groups. They needed to back away a lot quicker than they did. Whoosh isn't going to try and punish with any sort of damage onto this second inner turret. So excellent rotation coming through from UP. Just basically found RNG wanting.
Yeah, and speaking of that, they are going to rotate towards the mid lane now as well. Possibly will be able to take down this outer turret. And what better use of this Jinx as well with the Zeal, with the fact that the Infinity Edge has been completed. Can just maneuver around and look at this turret melt. Hi, Let Me. How you doing, man? I'm not sure why you're hanging out on our screen, but thank you. You have respawned and have headed back to the top lane. And with a Frozen Heart, I mean, this tree's going to be doing some work.
But 4,000 gold is opened up. There's so many aggressive options open to UP. Whether their top laner goes for the EQ, it was just a cataclysm at that time that forced the start of a fight that eventually Xiaohu was the sacrificial lamb for. Rotations are always going to be possible with Whimsicons. That's why Lulu is so popular. Juggle more or no. Juggle Jinx almost is the situation here. But of course, Jarvan is most of the damage, especially at this point. So shouldn't count him out.
No, most certainly not. And the Cataclysm really destroying Xiaohu, who almost managed to get himself into a position to create something. But with Heart just playing fantastically on this Alistar and able just to maneuver Xiaohu into an area where he can be dealt with is really ruining his day thus far. And we'll see whether he's going to be the changing factor in whether or not RNG can hold on to this game. Because you've mentioned it before, the fact that Xiaohu really is the barometer for his team.
I think RNG still have great outscale options just because, again, full damage Jarvan. Kind of purchase may vary in the late game. If he gets onto the right target, i.e. other than Maokai and Sejuani, will do a lot of damage. But Zhonya's will negate a lot of what he does against Xiaohu, and it will be opted into third, so a bit earlier. Yeah. With the Zhonya's, potentially even before the Boots 2 are completed. Everyone else on RNG team fights well. They team fight excellently when you aggress onto them. We've always said this about Azir. And Jarvan does nothing if not dive the backline. So I feel like RNG, if they can stop the bleeding, and the objective bleeding, the gold bleeding, has definitely worked very well for UP. 1 up in this series, now 4,000 gold ahead. They managed to out-rotate RNG by forcing a 5v4 situation where Woosh had no hope of grouping, taking out a turrets. If they keep the pressure on, there's the potential they can end this game or get a big enough lead, i.e. break the base 35 minutes in. If we're still at this point at 45 minutes, if we don't see the pendulum swing, I love RNG's comp in the late game.
Ooh. Lei almost face-checking that brush towards the dragon, but of course, look, there is no impetus for RNG to move towards this dragon whatsoever until a minute has passed, as MLXG standing on top of a ward is going to be able to take down the Gromp. Heading back to... oh, dear. Oh, dear. They are going to catch him out. He was window shopping. MLXG. Unfortunate stuff. Not even going to use his flash. He's just going to get taken down. And it was clever warding, but MLXG should never window shop.
It's an unforced error. Not just the window shopping part, but they were just caught out trying to clear their Krugs in top lane. You can tell that Hart is walking around aggressively with those Moby boots, looking for picks, warding up every camp. He's doing exactly what a support should do. Their pick potential is massive with this full AD Jarvan. And they're just getting picks that they are being granted on a silver platter by RNG.
Not a whole lot they can do. They pick up the objective for it as well. The inner turret falls down. That's 5-2 in favor of UP, and they've created themselves a 5,000 gold lead. And at 28 minutes, that is nothing to scoff at. That's a whole lot of money. As he's got his teleport. He's going to be able to take down this turret in the top lane. And with the Righteous Glory, we'll see whether they can fight for this dragon that's up in 15 seconds. Everyone now still alive. MLXG making his way down, but you can see how much vision this UP lineup has. They've got exponentially large amounts of wards in comparison to RNG over this game.
Xiaohu has completed his Zhonyas. That's the big boon that this particular mid laner can do. If they fight smartly around this dragon, there is a team fight that RNG wins, but it's very execution heavy, and it doesn't matter if MLXG dies again.
Yeah, he's going to get caught one more time. Hart immediately uses the ultimate just to try and survive for a bit longer. Xiaoyang uses the Whimsy, gets a bit faster, but that is going to mean the dragon delivered to UP on a silver platter, like you said.
And the wards, like you mentioned, were the big factor. MLXG casually walking down to Water Brush, almost dies for it. Doesn't have a Sightstone this game. Double Sightstone from the Gragas and Alistar's actually coming up trumps, because going for the more selfish stats, going for the teamfight build, passing over the Sightstone that builds so well when you already have Cinderhawk for a bit more health efficiency from that item. Every camp is warded consistently, and the picks are winning UP this game.
They are, and look, MLXG didn't die. Didn't have to use his flash then either, but wasn't going for anything. And we'll see whether RNG can move themselves into a position where they can win this one. Nice smite from MLXG. Not going to get outsmarted by Amy. Is Sketch going to take down the Scuttle Crab?
The only ward, even midway through this map, is a pink ward cheekily that Jarvan is recalling next to. The rest of the wards are very, very shallow, so Baron becomes more and more of a realistic opportunity. Demacian standard into what is going to soon be an Infinity Edge Jarvan.
Yep.
He loves this build. He doesn't change it for anyone.
Yep, I love it too. It's fantastic. So much damage. If you get a crit with your passive, that's so silly.
It'd be hilarious if he got an instant crit against RNG.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
You like that?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Atlas tier.
Come on, it's
Backhanded comment.
Better than that. Long though, he's going to get some more vision down in the top lane. So many wards. Whoa, we're talking about the fact they had so many wards. That was before. Now there's even more of them on this map. They may as well just go for the Baron. They can see where everybody else is.
Well, it's a double Sightstone and a warding totem against a warding totem and a Sightstone. You just can't compare those two things.
Yeah, Hart getting taken down fairly low. Xiaohu still trying to do something on this map. Getting the work done. Ward is going to fall down though as Hart just triumphantly roars himself back up to health. And now the Baron is going to be started here. MLXG going to be taking down his red buff. But that's not where he's needed. Lemmy going to use the teleport, but the Baron's going to go down. Lung wants to try and get over the wall here as Zhao Yang is able to offer at least some glitter lances. There's a flash into the body slam. Whoosh, taken down solo. MLXG deleted. Super Mega Death Rocket over the wall as now Zhao, who's made his way in. Nice mega knockup to come in on the side of RNG as Whoosh trying to go aggressive. Zhao Yang so low, but he's not going to die. There's a double kill for Zhao. They've got 3 for 1 now, but the Baron's down. The damage has been done. UP still so far ahead, but I guess that fight was actually won in favor of RNG. Can they get anything for it?
It definitely was. They're going to at least take this inner turret. Finally, Zhao, who gets the position he's been demanding the whole time, shows up at a fight with Zhonya's. He didn't even have to use it because the Gragas ultimate was already used. UP just trigger happy. They got the Baron. They thought, oh, some free kills as well. Fighting in a narrow corridor against Xiaohu on Azir, who has 3 big items already and boots too, was a big mistake. They need to choose their fights better. It was something they were able to do right towards the tail end of that mammoth game we just came out of. And I said, okay, going to be a short one after a 60-minute classic. No guarantee of that, as although it's starting to tip further and further towards UP, Azir is someone who, if it goes unchecked, will win this game for RNG.
Yeah, well, Xiaohu already demonstrating that he's fantastic. Already having a better game than last time as well. 4-1-0 on this Azir, deciding to go for the Haunting Guys.
More power right now. If they lose a fight, they will probably lose this game, Atlas, especially with a couple of Baron buffs ensuring that their sieging is that much better if you're UP. Go for the instant power. Doesn't necessarily have to be a quick Leandris, but honestly, with the health values not being that high, it might probably be a late game option. It could always sell the Haunting Guys, but the most power you can get for 1,500 gold at this point in the game, it's definitely the Haunting Guys.
Yeah, and he's almost doing true damage to Lung as well, who's going for the full AD Jarvan build. Might mean that Xiaohu, with an Emperor's Divide to stop him from jumping on top of him, could just eliminate the threat straight away.
It's absolutely possible. They have the lockdown CC that Xiaohu can rely on, so I do agree with the purchase of the Haunting Guys. UP looking for another pick. They're looking for MXG to overextend onto another camp, but finally it seems that RNG are just hanging back a bit more.
Yeah, RNG waiting for the minion waves to come towards them now as UP are going to be able to steal away the blue buff. Oh, close for Xiaohu there, but Amy does lock it down. MLXG very tanky, but has found himself out of position. A little bit uncharacteristic for this player, and look, he looks very comfortable on the early to mid-game junglers, but it's when he's on these more hyper-scaling versions that he's not quite getting there as long. Oh, the ultimate now on cooldown for MLXG. UP now looking to try and find their way in. Beautiful Howling Gale stops Hart from making his way around, but UP now with positional advantage around this mid lane.
They want to re-engage. Infinity Edge just completed on Jarvan. This is the time to fight with what is a massive power spike, especially if the crit comes through. But Hart is completely DPS'd out. RNG considering their options. Without the Glacial Prison, no real aggressive options. Azir and these assertive moves often have a lot of negative synergy. especially without lockdown available.
No, not quite working out for them just yet. But of course, RNG with the damage control able to at least stop the bleeding. The gold lead has not changed one bit for the last little while. In fact, let me in there in the top lane able to accrue some more gold for himself. You can see the gold lead, especially as far as this top lane is concerned, really far ahead is UP. 332 to 258. Man, Long has been having a good time, and he did the same thing against Sky. It seems Let Me, not too much of a problem either.
The full damage assassins having a good time against Maokai. We've seen it from Fizz time and time again.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing it from the Jarvan, and you wouldn't expect this matchup to go well, but especially it's such a great lane to gank because, of course, Jarvan a noted jungler, so it offers a lot of CC even from level 2. Maokai's not tanky till he finishes the health item and, for example, the Glacial Shroud. So there's always kill potential in the early levels. It's a smart play from UP playing around the Jarvan. We mentioned it. Gragas is going to be up top the whole time. He was, and he didn't get a lot of kills, but he got the joy early, and that's what's tipped the lane over to Jarvan. Yeah,
and RNG sort of just, I don't know, making an interesting play there where they're just deciding to give up the dragon, but they're going to try and transition into it. Transition it into a free inhibitor. It's going down very, very low. They are going to be able to get the last hit, but can UP start a fight that they're looking for? Nice slow. Going to stop Hart from being able to get in there, and he desperately wants to get some sort of speed up. He wants a talisman. He wants a righteous glory. He wants anything because Hart has been stopped in his tracks so many times.
So they have Lei. He has the captain boots and Izjar. They're trying to counter-rotate their rotational play. So even, and wow.
Whoa, Amy just going to die there. Not even sure where he fell down. Probably just caught in rotation, and RNG now wanting to try and continue this one on. Of course, the Glacial Prison's still available for MLXG. There's Long, point blank, not going to miss that one as the culling comes through as well. The Relentless Pursuit going to destroy Long, and Whoosh getting some well-needed revenge on the top laner.
And they can just go pick up farm or look for more kills. Both of them are options. They've already broken the base. It's surprising they managed to do it. MLXG falls, though.
Trading the junglers there. Of course, MLXG feeling sorry for the UP lineup, saying, yes, you can have something for this.
It feels like every time a jungler enters an unwarded bush, they just die.
It feels like every time MLXG enters Summoner's Rift, he's walking into an unwarded brush. Oh, dear. But Whoosh is going to be able to lock down this Gromp. And that was probably a little bit mean. But this game, most definitely, MLXG has been getting caught a little bit more than otherwise.
Massive slow push coming into the top lane. RNG just unlocked this game. Out-rotating a Lulu comp is a crazy thing to consider. Whimsy already providing upwards of 70% move speed for 5 seconds. We just caught with their pants down. It wasn't like it was a Sivir rotation. There was no on the hunt. It was just assertive play. Azir can assist Lucian. Lucian does wonderful turret damage, but usually has to deal with the fact that he's 500 range. Not a consideration when all of UP were just kind of milling around the map out of position. For once, their gank squads, you know, standing in next to a Gromp, standing around an objective, trying to fight, got owned. And Amy, he's going to find lots of people.
Yep, so that was Amy falling down a little while ago.
He actually found some room in the CC duration to throw out the cask, but it was just a frustration cask.
Yeah, I like it. Just, oh, get away from me. Oh, sorry, I'm dead. And look at this. It's actually interesting because Whoosh has identified the fact that there's no super tank. There's nothing in the top lane that's really going to be difficult to kill. So he's going for what is either a Black Cleaver or, in fact, the Trinity Force here as MLXG is going to steal away the blue buff. Might trade his life for it now as Amy uses the Locket of the Iron Solari. Let Me trying to get in amongst it as well. Yet Zhao Yang and Sketch doing some damage here as Hart is going to use the Unbreakable Will. Double knockup. Hart doing some work there in the backline as Long tries to delete anyone as Zhao. Fantastic positioning. Amy's going to get Wild Growth here as RNG are melting. Whoosh has fallen already. MLXG going to die. There's the flag and drag as Zhao. He's going to get slowed down. Uses the barrier, but it's not going to be enough. Or is it? No, it's not. As, in fact, uses the ultimate, but doesn't get anything other than a Lulu, and that's going to mean a Baron.
Tale of two front lines, Atlas. Even though the team has a top lane AD carry, basically a melee carry in Jarvan, they were just able to use Lulu's suite of CC shielding and bonus health from the Wild Growth to win that fight. And eventually Zhao, who was all alone, it was just a low health Maokai who'd already separated himself from the squad. The Maokai getting chipped out so early meant that his positioning kind of let him down there, did Let Me. We're going to see the rotations mid, and we should at least see an answering inhibitor with the Baron.
Yeah, the face tanking, but there are super creeps here. Of course, it's very difficult to tank this one up, and that wave is pushed super far up.
So we'll wait to see what can UP get from this Baron buff. They're not able to
With an
break the base
8,000 gold lead.
instantly. We're going to see a replay coming through. So the teleport comes in from Let Me. He's the first person to enter this fight. Lung has to leave, so I thought it was going to be a bag fight for UP, but Lei gets pushed right into the middle of the fight. Hasn't used his ultimate just yet. It's a really long, drawn-out fight, but the first person to die of all 10 members is Whoosh, and we've already noted that it's a two-threat comp, so they're just able to change target, happily fight around. Xiaohu's free hitting, but it's not like those fights in the previous game around Dragon where his frontline's still alive. No, they're both dead. And even though he gets so close to what could have been a huge triple kill, you could almost smell it in the air. It doesn't quite come to be, and a big advantage for UP picking up that Baron.
Yeah, monstrous as they are now able to deal with these super creeps in the mid lane. And it's interesting that RNG had so much control when they were so far behind in money. I mean, it's an 8,000 gold lead now for UP. And you wouldn't have expected that to be the case with how RNG were playing. They were playing like they had map control, like they had vision control, when they don't. They flat out haven't all game. RNG have had about, a fifth of the wards on the map that UP have had. And it's probably mainly credit to Hart here, who's been able to sweep things out, able to get the vision down for his team. And there's the fact that they do have that double sightstone. So look, UP have just been able to strategically outplay RNG when it really matters this game.
I think you're right in terms of Hart. He has equally the most kill participation, but how many of those kills were precipitated by his wards at camps?
Yeah.
Catching out MLXG multiple times. The Sejuani ults have been a basic non-factor in this game. You might think they'd be massive, especially with Jarvan diving in, but they've just been holding the explosive cast to ensure there's no big follow-up, and the dive potential after MLXG ults, it's not really there. Whoosh wants to be kiting backwards. Of course, Xiaohu does the most damage when he's kiting backwards. If it's only Let Me and MLXG diving on the backline, it's a lost team fight for RNG.
Yep, UP are going to even out the Dragons here as well. Extra movement speed from the third, but mainly just keeping RNG away from the fifth Dragon. It could have been a couple of fifth Dragons if RNG had have kept on their same way, but not going to be happening. The inner turret is going to be replaced by that Sun turret, but the Baron buff minion's going to easily deal with that one.
Maokai can't get to the big stack of waves. That's 5 stacks of waves in the top lane. He has to come and help with mid. No, he's still distracted. 4v4 in the mid, and Scatch is free hitting.
Yeah, so much shielding as well as there are the Chompers able to easily deal with this inhibitor turret. UP just streaming into the base. Look at these minions. The Baron buff wears off as RNG trying to defend at least one of these turrets. And now they're being corralled into the edge of the map. So many minions as there's a 3-man ultimate from MLXG. Able to get himself out of there as well as Hart in the front line doing some work here. Amy still holding on to the ultimate. No, has actually already used it. Hart has got the Unbreakable Will broken and is going to get destroyed for it as RNG at least get UP out of their base, but they lose 2 inhibitors. And now they're trying to get themselves somewhere.
It's a massive cost for finally chasing them out. Basically, all of RNG's positioning was dictated to by UP, and that's not usually the case when we're talking about a Sejuani Maokai of multiple flank and teamfight initiation options. In general, that they just had to watch, and you're right, they're being herded. They're following the leader, but they've already lost both those inhibitors. They're looking to reinitiate a fight. Are they sure this is one they can win?
Yeah, they're trying to find something. It's a bit ironic. The cow's dead and they're getting herded now as Let Me, the tree, finds his way on top of Amy. Maybe not the engaged target they're looking for here is Scatch free hitting from the back line, but Gragas is going to fall down. MLXG flashes after Scatch, but he's excited. Zhao, yeah, whoa, just gets obliterated. Scatch uses his QSS as long. He's going for the hero play and gets obliterated for it. That's the ace completed now as Hart is about to respawn. And RNG wish that they could do something with it.
They can, though, go bottom, go to the mid lane and just pick up the unanswered inhibitor. Remember, there is no inhibitor turrets. They can at least do that. Actually uses the Emperor's Divide purely to start to move the minion wave. Just try and get it down as fast as possible. Don't want to have to force the Maokai to do much wave clearing. Alice is the only one alive.
Yeah, Xiaohu actually, ignoring everything here, just trying to get some work done as the teleport going to be used from Let Me. They're going for the victory here. RNG trying to go all in on this one. Let Me trying to tank up these turrets, but they've got a whole lot of damage. I didn't think this could be the option as they're trying to use everything that they can. Hart needs to land the best pulverize in their history of the world to try and get this one going on. The Nexus turret falls down. The Nexus is now under fire. It's going to be the end of the game. RNG with the decisive play causes this to be the 1-1. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, RNG were the ones being herded, but suddenly they got the picks they were looking for. Did UP, did RNG, they got the kills, and after that they could just go quickly and finish the game after having already broken the base earlier. How much of this game comes back to just one decisive rotation through the mid lane where they broke the base after UP had baited and got 3 or 4 picks with the smart wards from Heart? Suddenly, they finally get the kills with 55-second death time as this game had gone long just like the first one, able to play assertively, understand their limits, and win the game.
Yeah, RNG really looking like a fantastic team moving forward here. Let me heads into the lineup for the second game. Of course, I don't think the top lane was necessarily what really made it, because Long, again, managed to find himself ahead in the lane, managed to make plays around the map as well. It was an unorthodox pick in the top lane AD Jarvan, but he's done it before. It's been successful before, knows what he can do with it. But look, RNG able to capitalize on the smallest advantages that time around. It seemed like when UP got a slower portion of the game, that was when they were able to manipulate it in a way that affected them. But RNG, as soon as things were chaotic, they were like, yep, we know what we're doing.
And if there was a control graph, it would be 80-20 to UP.
Yeah.
They were in control for so much of the game. One decisive rotation mid, and then just that last fight where we were waiting to see, would it be actually worth opting into a fight with Heart dead? The 5v4 went landslide in the advantage for RNG. And as you mentioned, because it's so late, they just won the game from it.
Yeah, they just flat out won the game. It was brilliant work there from RNG and able to bounce back from what was a heartbreaking victory in the game before. So huge props to them. It is going to be a split game, but ladies and gentlemen, there's still far more League of Legends to come. Of course, it is going to be Spawn and Pastry Time taking you through LGD, taking on M3 after this very short break.